Throws it off the backboard. Ross finds the rumbling Aussie. Jock with the jam.
Perhaps the Australian NBA story right now is not Ben Simmons, Patty Mills, Joe Ingles, or even the dashing Josh Giddey. It's Jock Landale. He is living the dream. When the NBA playoffs start this weekend, the Aussie will be playing for title contender Phoenix alongside future Hall of Famers like Kevin Durant and Chris Paul. This is a guy who arrived in the NBA without a cent to his name. By his admission, he was broke. So to paraphrase the talking heads, how did he get here? How his family shaped his rise? And how far might he go? I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Jock Landale plays in the NBA with the Phoenix Suns, who are right in the mix for a championship. Jock, one of your more recent posts on Instagram includes you throwing down a dunk, a vid of you draining a three, and a snap of you playing with Kevin bloody Durant. And the caption is, things are pretty good. So two things. Did you strain a muscle with that flex? And secondly, how odd has the last couple of months been, man?
Oh, mate, no, the flexing has kind of worked its way into just about every single bucket lately, so the body's acclimatised to it.
Jock lining up the three, bottoms up.
Things are going really well out here, mate. We've put ourselves in a good spot to kind of have the pre-season that, every team wants to have, and obviously had an incredible squad built around four key pieces in DeAndre Ayton, Chris Paul, Devin Booker, and Kevin Durant. So this is kind of the kind of stuff that dreams are made of. You find yourself on arguably one of the best teams in the NBA on paper. So I'm absolutely loving it. Life here in Phoenix is unbelievable. Loving it, and it's only up from here.
It's got to be a strange dynamic when you're interacting with these guys, Chris Paul, Kevin Durant, Monty Williams, DeAndre Ayton. Do you find yourself, your internal monologue thinking, just be cool, Jock, be cool?
There was a little bit of that kind of to start. These are the guys you grow up watching. These are the guys that, they've got the spotlight on them every single night.
Durant looks at the clock. Caldwell Pope digs in. Durant. Oh, major splash!
In reality, they're made out to be these superhumans, and in some cases they probably are. But it certainly is a little bit of a pinch yourself moment when you first shake their hands and say what's up. But you've got to quickly put that behind you. And at the end of the day, they're only human beings, and I think that we pride ourselves on treating each other as such. I've had plenty of glasses of wine or good laughs or whatever it might have been throughout the year. So at the end of the day, we're just a bunch of blokes that have come together to do a job just like any other, corporate space. You just got to make the most of that experience, because you never know how long it lasts, and you want to try and further your career as much as possible. So there's a lot to pick up from the likes of them. And then at the end of the day, they've also got some bloody cool stories. So just kind of listening in on that and asking him as many questions as you can to try and pick up a little piece of their life and see what they've been through is really interesting. So they're good fellas. What's
a cool story that you've heard lately around the locker room?
Oh, mate, I don't know if I'm allowed to say, to be honest. That's locker room chat, I'm not sure they'd tell me another one if I told some of the stories.
Well, give us a story from your perspective then. Can you take us behind the scenes when it broke internally that Kevin Durant might be joining the Suns? Is there a player's WhatsApp chain? Is it blowing up? What's going on?
It's the night before, and there's not really been too much movement around the league at this point. And it gets to about 11 o'clock at night in Atlanta, and I'm like, right, nothing's happened for the past 2-3 hours. People are probably wrapping up for the night. I'm going to go to bed. I went to sleep, and in the middle of the night, I just hear this yell in the hallway, and it wakes me up and kind of startles me. And I hear it again, and I was like, what the heck's going on? And, dozed back to bed, didn't check the phone at all. I don't even check my phone before I go and get a coffee. So I go downstairs to grab a coffee, and there's this huge party of people in the lobby downstairs. And I was like, what is going on? So I said, what are you guys doing down here? Do we have practice or something like that? And they said, no, it's been cancelled, but, we've just got KD and we've traded away Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson. Kind of said my goodbyes to them. And then, we went upstairs and had a team meeting and linked up with a few of the lads then. And there was a bit of shock around the group in a good way. And then it was, once we kind of got back to Phoenix and he was there, you were like, wow, this is real.
Amazing stuff. According to the Arizona Central, Durant said of you, great hands, good roller, great screener. When you hear those words, does it make you feel like, I've really arrived and I belong at this level?
Yeah, I mean, having that confirmation from somebody like him, that definitely gives you a confidence boost that you've got the tick of approval from someone of his caliber. And he's played with some bigs who comparatively are similar to me, and they've meshed extremely well. So it definitely was just kind of a little bit of a head nod from him in that, right, like I know that I can mesh well with this bloke, and that's definitely going to carry some weight going forward. And that's what it is. I mean, mate, to be honest with you, my job has just kind of evolved into make his life easier. But our lives are made a lot easier because all the attention is just placed so severely on him, and every scout is, let's stop Kevin Durant. So there's a lot of open opportunities for the rest of us. And I think that being a smart basketballer, that probably plays into my hands a little bit.
12-5 LA run. Jock with a jam on a nice feed.
It's always going to be fierce internally for minutes at a team that is contending for an NBA championship. And right now you're locked in an internal struggle for minutes with fellow big Bismack Biyombo. What's the coaching staff said to you about what you need to do to get more time on the floor?
Not really much has been said about what I need to do. I think that a lot of the time with me and Bismack, he's had to wait patiently on the sideline for the majority of this year whilst I've been the primary backup, and it's been kind of a string of teams that plays to his skill set in the past couple games. So of late, it's just been a lot of those teams we've been playing against have kind of matched up well with Busy. So it's definitely not a power struggle between the two of us, and there's no malice behind one or the other getting minutes. And I think that's what's so refreshing about playing alongside him and DeAndre Ayton is we all just want the best for one another, and there's really no ill wish on the other for getting minutes rather than yourself. It's let's just help the team win. Look, I was doing a great job. I was playing some of my best basketball before this 3-4 game stretch where I haven't touched the court, but now Biz is doing a great job.
Busy says no, sir. Wow, and then got the ball back.
When playoffs come, things tighten up even more. I'm sure that we'll both be thrown into the fire at some point and have to figure it out.
You've had two coaches in the NBA now. Greg Popovich, an absolute great. Monty Williams right now at the Phoenix Suns, seriously highly regarded. How would you contrast the two?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually, mate. They're definitely both cut from a similar cloth, given that Coach Pop was a bit of a mentor for Monty. And I would say Pop, for me, was a little bit more standoffish. I didn't have as many conversations with him as I have Monty. I think that Monty's coaching style, for me, has definitely been a little bit more hands-on, and whether or not that was just, the variety of what the role was or whatever it might have been, given that I didn't play a whole lot at the Spurs. And now I've been kind of a big piece of the puzzle here with Phoenix is, that might play to Monty needing to be a bit more hands-on with me. They're both very similar in their approach. They like to tutor us as young men and help us through that space a little bit. And they're both intense, both incredible coaches, fascinating people. Have learnt a lot from both years being with them.
I want to ask you about family, Jock. I wonder how important it's been to what's transpired in your career. And correct me if any of what I'm saying is wrong, but as I understand it, your dad pivoted away from a career in finance to go back and run the family farm. And I know the farm has been in the family a long, long time, and I'm sure it's a very big business in its own right. But it would seem to speak to me about a willingness to sacrifice to pursue a dream. Is that something that is flowed through to his son, you?
Absolutely. I saw my dad climb up the ranks, and I think he was the second or first best stock portfolio whilst he was at Merrill Lynch in Australia. But he sacrificed what would have been an incredible standard of living in that role to then go and start up his own funds management business and take a gamble on himself, to then see him sacrifice what he had going there, which was quite successful, to essentially save the family farm and go and pursue that full time. So I think that a lot of the lessons that I've learned from my dad have been, gamble on yourself and pursue a dream that not many people have the courage to pursue. And you're absolutely right. I mean, the family farm is a huge asset in itself, but it certainly is not as lucrative as his other businesses and jobs were. And I think that has been a conscious decision that he's made to live a happy life and be surrounded by the people who he bonds with the best and pursue excellence in a job that, quite frankly, I believe he missed his entire time he was living in Melbourne. I think that it was always his dream to go back and work the farm, and he sacrificed a lot, in giving us kids the opportunity to kind of go through school in Melbourne and be around basketball, because I sure as hell know if I wasn't, raised in Melbourne, I probably wouldn't have been surrounded by much basketball, given that there's not too much out out in that rural part of New South Wales. But, he sacrificed a lot for us kids and then rewarded himself now with going back to that. I did the same. Out of college, I probably could have very easily, taken the G League route, but I took a gamble on myself and going to Europe and kind of learning the ropes through there, and then sacrificed a lot financially in the pursuit of getting back to the NBA. Like, coming to the NBA, I was broke, given that I had to give back a lot of my salary to various teams to get out of buyouts or whatever the situation was, to then come to the NBA at 25. I hardly had a cent to my name. So, yeah, my family's played a huge part and huge role in getting me here. And, my wife has done no less. She's been unbelievable in the past 2 years, holding the house down and helping me through some tough days. Definitely had a huge helping hand from my family.
So it's clear to me when you hear about your story or read up on it, you're used to being underestimated, and whether that's being told to forget hoops as a 12-year-old, struggles at college to make the grade, 3 years out of the league, like you touched on, before finally getting a deal at San Antonio. So I think while some might be thinking, wow, Jock Landale, he's going to get the chance to be potentially part of a title run or a deep run in the playoffs with the Suns, where's your head at in terms of where you're aiming? Because I suspect it's a bit higher than just being a piece of the puzzle at the Suns.
For sure. That's the reality of the situation now is that I am a piece of the puzzle, and I've contributed a lot this year to getting us to this position that we're in.
I want to see Jock take that 15-footer. They're just backing off in the paint on him.
Davis can't connect. Suns grabbing another loose ball rebound. Lead pass up ahead to Jock. Nice reverse over Davis.
I've always been that underdog. I'm cool with that. That probably suits my personality a lot. There's always a bigger picture. And at some point, one of the main reasons we're in this industry is you want to be able to look after yourself long term. And I think that's certainly is a part of the mission. And, at the same time, it's win a championship. I've always said my biggest goal was to win a championship at multiple levels. That's always been my understanding, is winning a title kind of takes care of everyone and it takes care of everything.
Jock, thanks so much for your time. Good luck for your run for the rest of the season.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Headlines. In other hoops news, Shanice Swain has been drafted by the LA Sparks in the WNBA. She's gone pick 14, and the 19-year-old, her life is about to change big time. At time of publish, the Bells Beach Pro was just about to see Aussie winners deluxe in the men's and women's events. In the gents, it was either Ethan Ewing or Ryan Callan, while the ladies sees a real master v apprentice vibe. Either young gun and world number one Molly Picklum with another trophy, or Tyler Wright celebrating by ringing that bell. The AFL's headaches with racial vilification seem to grow each week. Adelaide player Isaac Rankin has called out online abuse, along with Michael Walters and Nathan Wilson from Fremantle. We spoke with Tony Armstrong about the whole Jamara Ugle-Hagan situation a couple of weeks back. There is heaps in that episode that's sadly relevant to this ongoing story. It's really worth a listen. The link to that is in the show notes. Organisers of Adelaide's Live Golf Tournament will no doubt be expecting a spike in interest for their upcoming event after many of the Rebel League players performed quite well at Augusta National. Brooks Koepka, Phil Mickelson and Patrick Reed were right in the mix at the Masters. Cam Smith was not among the contenders and says he's planning to get to work after finishing 34th, 16 shots off winner Jon Rahm. And did you catch the teenagers ripping up the store gift? 18-year-old Ryan Tarrant won the 141st edition of the men's race. If you reckon he's young, what about Bella Pasquale? She claimed the women's and he's just 16. They both pocketed $40,000. I hope you feel as inadequate as I do. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny. You feeling refreshed after Easter? Nah, me neither. Good news is we have some belting stories coming your way. Really excited for our next episode. A reminder, you can do us a big solid by giving us a review and a rating wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks to the NBA and ESPN for the extra audio used in this episode.
Hit subscribe for more, or try out the ABC Listen app for thousands of other podcasts, all ad-free.